Hi, today I'm answering a question from my YouTube audience, and the question is sleeping and sleepiness during the day part of trauma? And so that's what we're going to dive into today. I'm Rachel McLeod. I am a mental health therapist, coach, therapist, mentor, and I specialize in helping people do the brain work for resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. And so the brain has a beautiful process of this that works beautifully and phenomenally. And we really want the brain to resolve these issues. I don't want you fighting with your brain. Or any of those types of things that we will do if our brain is not actually resolving these symptoms. And so this process is beautiful, but it can get stuck. And so we really want to work with the brain to get that unstuck and get it going and moving and resolving those symptoms. So that's my perspective. That's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about sleepiness from this perspective and how to resolve this. And so I want to also talk about why sleepiness is part of trauma. The answer is yes. You know, that's the answer. Sleepiness and being and falling asleep and sleeping excessively during the day, more than you feel like you need, more like you know that you need, but you feel like this is right because your brain's telling you to go to sleep. Um, that's really that's what we're going to dive into. So, and how? Why is this the case? So, I've written down 3 reasons why trauma leads to sleep and how we get from trauma to sleepiness during the day or sleeping during the day. And so the very first one is exhaustion. While after a traumatic experience, your brain's job is to get in there and resolve it, to get all that stuff processed. But as you know from watching many of my videos, and if you haven't, I talk about this in videos, all the stuff our brain, all the sensory information that occurred during the trauma, the way your body felt, what you saw with your eyes, what you heard, the sounds, the smells, the taste, all that stuff is information that your mind body system gathers for your brain to sort out and figure out and understand what just happened. All that information that registers as more positive does it just zips through the brain's process. This other stuff that we would identify as traumatic or painful really has a hard time working through the brain's process because the survival system part of your brain is designed to get away from pain. So if here your mind body system wants to give the report of the sensory information of the traumatic experience that you just had happen, or that happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And it's still trying to get this thing processed because brains and mind body systems will never stop trying to process traumatic experiences. But if it's trying to get that processed yet again, and it registers as pain in that survival system, the survival system is going to back out, push away from it. It's going to send you into fight, flight, freeze, faint, or fawn. And it's going to have to do it again because your body's going to bring it up again, and then it's going to respond and react, and again and again and again. And this process is exhausting. It is depleting. It is, while you might be sleepy or you might notice that you're sleeping, you're actually burning through so many of your vitamins and minerals. And as your brain is thinking all these thoughts, and it's working, it's revving the gear, and the processors, come on, let's get it processed, and it's not, and then it's activating survival mode, which is a whole nother depleting, expensive process. And then your body has to take the trauma back and store it again. And that's why that book, The Body Keeps the Score, is so beautifully worded. Because your body does have to hold on to this trauma, and it will keep telling you about it, right? That those aches in your stomach, or where your legs are tingling, your arms are tingling, that is your body talking about those traumatic experiences. And so all of that is exhausting, and it's a lot of work. And so if you're working through trauma, or you don't know you're working through trauma, you have been traumatized, you're going to notice more exhaustion, more sleepiness. And then when you're sleeping, your brain is really busy trying to heal. Doesn't mean it's healing. It just means it's busy trying to heal. It's running the process neurotically over and over again. And it may or may not be being successful. And so while you're sleeping, it's doing the same thing. When you're trying to do the REM sleep thing, it's working through your traumas, not having success. Stop, go, let's try again. Let's try again, right? Oh, I hope you're exhausted just hearing me talk about this, because I'm exhausted talking about this. And this is going on I don't know how many times a day. I'd love to see the research on that because it's moving unconsciously through your system often, and it's moving consciously through your system. I don't know how often. You'd have to count your flashbacks. You'd have to count your racing thoughts. That's some of this stuff trying to make its way through your brain's healing process. So that's why this is important to help our brains complete the healing process with these things so that it's done. And the beautiful things about trauma processing is that it does complete the process. It is finished. And so we want to help the brain do that work. That's what my work is all about. And that's what a lot of people who specialize in helping people recover and heal from trauma, that's what our job is. So we just help the brain heal, help the brain complete these processes. Okay. Um, I'm going to gossip with you right now. I took a training by a naturopath who uh, specializes in health and wellness creation, and she was a psychiatric naturopath. So she was here for trauma, anxiety, depression, those sorts of things. And what she was saying is that people with these disorders are burning through their vitamins and minerals so much faster than people who don't have histories of trauma. And this is one of the reasons why people with PTSD, complex PTSD, anxiety, depression, and high ACEs score end up struggling with the top 5 killers from health perspectives, heart attacks. She had the list, right? And a lot of this is because we're so busy doing the mental healing that our brain prioritizes that and doesn't take care of the body. And so the body ends up not being able to complete its processes and doesn't have the vitamins and minerals to complete its processes. And so, and that's one of the reasons why we struggle. And so it's important to help the brain complete its work because it's not going to stop it. And we have already tried suppression tactics, and that's really where problems occur, and this process lingers and stays active in our system so long. So one of the reasons why you're sleeping might be that you're depleted emotionally, mentally, energetically, physically, chemically, those sorts of things. You want to address each one of these things. And I do the energy, mental, and emotional pieces of this, and I love it when people are also taking care of their vitamins and minerals with their providers, their naturopaths, and functional health professionals that are really focused on creating health and wellness. So that's one of the reasons why trauma equals sleepiness during the day. The next reason that this occurs is because of survival states. If your brain thinks you're in danger, it's going to shift you automatically into fight, flight, freeze, faint, fawn, collapse. Fawning is people pleasing, appeasing, trying to make people feel okay, even at the cost of yourself. Um, there's a couple other ones in there that we've given new names to, and I can't remember them. So we're going to go with fight, flight, freeze, faint, and fawn in the family of survival states that we will experience. We don't get a choice about going into these states. This is determined by your survival system, and it's determined by the sensory information that's moving through your mind body system. What you see, smell, touch, um, uh, your senses. Right? That's really it. Those things, as they move through your survival system's up there decoding, are we safe or are we not safe? That's its only desire. Are we safe or are we not safe? Okay, we're safe. We'll let this information through. We're not safe, we're out. We're going to fight, flight, freeze, faint, or fawn. Okay, so uh, in that survival state, you don't get a choice. It's decided for you, and one of them is faint. And so that means you might be going around your day. You might have encounter a trigger. You might be consciously aware this is a trigger. Or you might be unconscious that this is a trigger. I have seen both occur, and it's often that uh, that the trigger is unconscious to people. So they're going about their day. They encounter that trigger. Their system registers a trigger. Their survival system says our best route to survive this is faint. So it'll put them to sleep. Sometimes people get full out faints, and it's like that, they're done. Right? That's not often. It happens, but the other one I will see is after somebody gets triggered, they're asleep within 3 minutes. And so those sorts of things are happening because your system is actually shutting you down. It's going into shutdown mode, and it's trying to survive something it perceives as dangerous. Okay, and so it can be entirely illogical. It can be not at all dangerous, but your system has decided that it is for any reasons. I help people find those specific triggers and what that's all about, and I will tell you, it emotionally makes perfect sense. It doesn't logically make perfect sense, but it emotionally makes perfect sense. And so we don't I don't I teach people not to judge. Let's just go find the thing and get it processed, right? Because if we can get that thing, the brain not afraid of it anymore and actually allowing it through the parts of the brain that translates it into words, understanding, insight, epiphanies, a greater understanding of the world, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this isn't scary, and then it rewrites the codes back to the body, and now you'll interact with that same thing without falling asleep, fainting, or collapsing, those sorts of things. So sleep during the day can absolutely be a survival strategy that your brain is using because there's danger. Okay, I hold on one second. Okay, all right. The third reason for sleepiness or sleeping during the day is safety seeking. That this sleep or sleepiness, sleep is really your safe place. That there's chronic stress in your life that can be your brain trying to process post-traumatic stress, something or some things that happened a long time ago. Unconsciously this is happening, and your mind body system understands this, and it's like, this is too much, I'm going to go to sleep. And so there you are. Okay, so, and that can be a really safe place, that sleeping right there. And so I am not trying to take safety away from people. I want it so that you don't need that safety anymore. So I want to know what's overwhelming your system, and let's get it processed so that your brain learns to and grow in its ability to, well, we want to resolve the triggers, right? We want your brain not to be afraid of it anymore. We also, there's some things in life that we just have to do over and over again, and we've run out of endurance with it. Maybe it's checking the mail, maybe you're just like, oh, the mail, right? So, but it's something that has to be done. And so, if as you're processing your, the state, the somatics involved with that, the heaviness in the chest, whatever's involved, and also just the dread and the overwhelm of the mail. As you're getting that process, your brain is learning, ooh, we do not like this, we're overwhelmed, and it's not going away. It keeps coming every 6 days. And then it's really, and we don't have patience, we don't have endurance for this, we're exhausted. We should probably build something different, right? And so then next thing you know, you have more endurance with the mail. It's the same thing the body will do with if you start lifting weights. At first it's like, oh, I'm tired, I'm sore. And then it's like, this person does not quit lifting these weights. I guess we should probably adjust. So if you're consistent with lifting weights, your mind body system will trigger its process for adjusting, building your muscles, and giving you more endurance. And so pretty soon you'll find that what you were doing is easy, and now you can do more. And so that's one of the things that sometimes needs to happen. And we want to, because doing mail is like lifting weights emotionally sometimes. And so it's not going to end, and we want you to get good at it. We want you to get so good at it, it's not a thing. Right? So that happens through processing. We want your brain to get the message that this is overwhelming to me. What can you do? How can you shift us so that it's nothing? Right? And so we want to build in there the mail doing the mail well program. Uh, but if we're distressed by things like that in our life, we're going to experience our need to find our safe place. It's how humans heal. It's how we regulate. It's vital to us. And we're seeking this all the time. So sleep can be one of those places for you. So being a conscious and aware of that can help you really take advantage of it consciously. That's helping your brain say, oh, look, we're here because this is safe. And then your brain really will start to say, well, I wonder why we're not safe. What's up with that? And now you're starting a healing process. You need to make sure that when your brain goes to look for what's triggering, it wasn't successful the first times in healing and resolving and growing into that thing or mastering that thing. And so it's likely going to need some help to do that. If there's likely some pain in there, it can't get processed, something we want to get in there and help with that so that your mind body system is doing its process for growth, expansion, health and wellness, and reaching goals. and living well, thriving. Okay. All of this is dependent upon, can the brain make thriving? Okay, so if you're finding that you're using your safe place a lot, that means that there's lots of places you probably don't feel that safe, or a place you don't feel safe right now. And so when you can find that and then help your brain to make that a safe place, or just resolve it, or effectively make it stop, right? Sometimes that's what brains need to do as well. Then all of a sudden you don't need your safe place anymore. Okay, so there's so many things sleeping and sleepiness can tell us about ourselves, can tell us about what we're doing with trauma, if trauma is impacting our life, if we're, and those sorts of things. And so I want you to listen in. I want to affirm that if you suspect sleeping or sleepiness during the day is linked to trauma, I want you to look into it, because that is super simple to resolve. There's a simple process for it. It may not be easy or straightforward, but it's pretty simple. And then you just apply that process and your brain really gets to work through and get unstuck with things that are slowing it down and making it, forcing it into comfort or survival states. Okay, so those are just good signs, not things to judge ourselves by. People really want to judge people who are sleeping, or people who are perceived as lazy or doing any of the lazy things. But really, this is associated with trauma. This is a brain state. This is not about your choosing sleep. This is how brains work. So with that information, I hope it helps you to tune into yourself and get the support that you need. I want to invite you to try one of my interventions. I have a free online program where I teach 3 of my favorite interventions for this work. These are the same videos I offer my coaching and my therapy clients, and this is how I introduce them to effective strategies that work with the part of the brain, that survival system, that really send messages of safety to it, and really have it shift into, from survival mode, and shift itself into thriving mode, processing mode. And so if it receives signals of safety, it'll open right up and let the information in, even if that information is a traumatic experience from 20 years ago that that's never been processed before. With that safety signaling being received, that part of the brain will just open right up. You really can't pry that part of the brain open. It has to decide for itself. And so when you send it the right safety signals, it just instantly, people are like, is this magic? Like, I feel so much better about this. Is this magic? Nope. This is healthy brain function. Your brain was designed to do this. It just couldn't in this situation. So we're giving it some support. That's it. So I invite you to try one of these interventions. So you log in. I've left the links in the description part of this video, and log in, watch the videos, try them out. If you feel safe, if you feel like, yeah, let's give this a go. These interventions have no known side effects, are easy to learn, are fast. You will notice results right away. And I have a little video in there showing you what to look for, to see, you can see when brains are completing their process, their healing process, you'll see specific things occurring. And so once you see one of those, you're like, oh, it's working. How about that? And so you keep doing it more, and you're just manually walking your brain to choose its healing path instead of survival pathways. And this is how brains resolve all of these symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress that are moving through the system. So by healing and thriving mode. So also, if you find one of these things at work, I have a program that teaches you how, because you need to be able to support your brain through its healing process, and then you need to be able to direct the brain through its healing process. And so these interventions provide the support. You can use them, you can resolve stuff. And the next step is learning how to direct your brain, like, hey, brain, this symptom right here, I want this resolved. And so I teach a lot of those strategies in my program, Inner World Transformation. And that is really all about directing your brain to heal symptom after symptom after symptom after symptom, and strategies for this. And so if you get a working intervention and you want to follow my process for guiding and directing your brain which symptoms dissolve, to resolve those symptoms that are most problematic for you, then I invite you to enroll in Inner World Transformation. Okay? So, and also if you'd like me to walk you personally through that process, you can learn more about that on my website. Wonderful connecting with you. Cheers to your healing. Take care.